Hi, guys. Hope you're doing well today. This is Fred and Sheila with Hatfield McCoy Museum Adventures and Fred and Sheila Investigates.
You wouldn't know it, but Sheila's got a taste of the flu.
Yep.
So, guys, this video here may be long. It's definitely going to be interesting, and it's definitely going to have a lot of our feelings in it towards some of these people in this audience, and some of our feelings about Buford and Pauline and
Mm.
Dewana, Madison, Eric, all these different people. They're just I see people. See them on Facebook and um, come over from Elam's channel, and they try to convince people that what Elam has told them is the truth and the gospel, and they're so convinced of it. He has sold them on that, and it's irrelevant at this point. There's no need. We don't have to convince them of nothing. They don't care. They're like Elam. They don't care if you're on there arguing with them, as long as they get to put their 2 cents in, and they feel like their opinion is that important that it counts. And that's why they make some of the comments. That's why they want to stay engaged with other people. They get some kind of a response. Now, I'm not going to name no names here, but this is for if the shoe fits, strap that puppy on and wear it. This is to anybody out there that's made allegations or accusatory remarks toward Buford Pusser, and there been no evidence to support it. This is to you people, the people that even now are still trying to persuade people with nothing but word of mouth that he did this or he did that. So, guys, what I want to do here, let's just imagine, first of all, if Buford or anybody that's done anything wrong in life and they're already deceased, they're dead, they're with, they're somewhere else. We don't have to worry about justice for nobody here on earth. They need to worry about justice where they're at now. God has got the final word.
Mhm.
He's got the final say. Don't worry. If somebody got away with something here on earth, they're in the wrong place now to try to get away with it. Well, none of us is getting away with anything when we're 6 feet under.
They all have to answer to the good Lord.
That's right, baby. This is an atrocity. That's what's happened to Buford Pusser. He's been dead 51 years. His wife was killed 58 years ago. They're buried beside of each other. Her 2 children was buried on top of her.
Mhm.
And they did all of this over rumors, over one man's obsession with little man syndrome, with Napoleon syndrome, with wanting to be something and couldn't be something. And he goes to somebody else, and then they say, well, yeah, this would make us all famous. Let's do this. Guys, you can go from being famous to being accused just as easily and just as fast. I will say this unless something just comes up, we would like the people, anybody that's got the report out there, we don't have it. But if you do, we'd like to find out what happened to the gun, if you find out anything on that rifle in there, because as soon as the government opens back up, we've got some people in government positions that's going to be looking to military records and finding that serial number for that gun, especially if it was one of the guns that was stolen. Mike Elam said at one time it was a stolen gun. It was a stolen gun by O'Neill Moffett. And then Ricky Plunk got a hold of him and says that it possibly could even be a murder weapon. And we need to find out if you got any information on the gun. I'd like you to send that to Sheila and I so we can look at it. Other than that, we're on this missing person, this little missing girl up here in Kentucky, and we're actually getting somewhere on it, and should be some results soon, hopefully. And so, for those of you that watch every video we put out, no matter if it's Buford or missing children or whatever it might be, there might be something forthcoming on that. We're hoping. Sheila, you can. We're going to play a video here. Most of you've probably heard it, but we want to play this little short video, and we're going to stop and talk after it's over, or maybe during the video.
Okay. This video here is of Madison. She is Dewana Pusser's daughter, which is the granddaughter to Buford Pusser and Pauline Pusser. So we're going to play it right real quick here for you as soon as I can get this to work. Here we go.
That I knew my granddad and my grandmother were from about the time that I knew who my mom and dad were. I have been poured into by this community of Adamsville, McCoy County, and beyond of people that were close to both my grandfather and my grandfather and the stories that they have told. It was my mom's mission to continue to promote his legacy. While doing that, she was taking trips to the Capitol to pick up grants for not only the museum, but also for the city of Adamsville as well. To speaking engagements all over the U.S., where I can't tell you how many people have told us that they made a special trip out of their way when they were in Tennessee to come to the Buford Pusser Museum, and how my grandfather Buford inspired their careers. I get messages on the daily, both good and nice, of their social media, but I can tell you that they're still going in to become law enforcement officers of my grandfather's legacy. The museum itself is very successful, and I know, and I have spoken, and the museum is and will be running in the black and not the red for the city. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and let everyone know that there have now been lawsuits filed against the TBI and the DA regarding the handling of this case. I know I'm quiet, I know you don't hear as much from me, and I'm a little bit out of the scenes, but this isn't over yet, and I can only continue to ask that you keep it like the going strong, not only for the tourism dollars that come to our community that help, for all the many people out there that are still living this story. I will end with that, and I appreciate it, and thank you for your time.
Okay.
Guys, go ahead, babe. Madison, Sheila had to call. Sorry. Madison is our newest hero. Madison has just took up for her family name. She took up for her grandfather Buford. She took up for her grandmother Pauline, and she definitely took up for her mother's courage and ambition to see her father tradition and museum and everything keep on going. And this young lady is to be commended because she's right. A lot of people don't hear from her. She's not a real public person as far as Facebook or anything. She doesn't have to be.
That's right.
She now has people to represent her and her family, and I believe there's more even to come. So it's this is a long way from over, like Madison says. I think everybody is going to get their opportunity to prove their case, to stand before a jury of 12 people. It may not be for a murder trial, but it will definitely be in reference to Buford Pusser and the way his legacy and his reputation, family name has been slandered and libeled.
I agree.
And the jury is going to require more than I heard this or I heard that, or she told me before she died, or he told me before he died, or it's not going to work. It may work on social media. It may work on podcast. It may even work when you write it in a book. And you may be able to sell it to the TBI, and you may be able to sell it to the DA. But I have a feeling that a jury, when they look at the evidence that does exist, the exculpatory evidence in favor of Buford and Pauline and Dewana, in relation to the evidence that doesn't exist, evidence that never existed, evidence that was lost, even that there was even a ambush or a murder or a killing at all. There's no evidence. They lost it. The TBI lost the files and they lost the evidence. It's in their own reports. Their reports turned out to be is going to be their biggest enemy in the end. This is going to be their downfall, is their own reports, mostly which was written from Mike Elam's book or taken from his podcast. So we can't brag on Madison or Eric. We're still going to hear from Eric. Eric is Mike's son. Eric's father, Mike, was buried on top of his grandmother, Pauline's grave. They dug that up without ever contacting the family, ever telling the family that we're going to dig this grave up so they could say, whoa, wait a minute. Our dad's buried there. Our mother's buried there, because also was Mike's sister buried there, Diane, right on top of her mother.
Yep.
So this case is far from over, and I'm hoping that everybody that had anything to do with this is brought to justice. The first thing the governor needs to do is fire David Roush, the director of the TBI. He has the authority to fire him. Bill Lee, Tennessee governor, needs to fire him and let him go, or you're condoning what he has done. Somebody needs to file from Tennessee, needs to file a grievance and malicious prosecution, there's so many charges out there that the attorneys know about with the intent. When you intentionally and negligently and all these different things defame somebody, even if you hold a title as a prosecutor, there's certain laws that we still have to go by. You can't just go out here when you hold these positions and slander people just because people pays attention to that. They look at those titles, they look at those positions, and they think because he said it, it must be true. Well, this was a good case to show you that it's not. It's not always that way, guys. Just because somebody says it doesn't make it true. So he needs to be disbarred. Complaints need to be filed. They need to be an investigation open into this to anybody that was involved, anybody from any kind of witness, anybody that had anything that went in the direction that their narrative went. Now, he's going to play you one in a minute of Lucky Sweat. Now, Sheila and I know Lucky.
Yep.
And Lucky knew Buford on a personal basis. Look at these older people out in that audience. These older people there, they knew Buford. They knew the man. Guys, this is not people that the TBI went around to secretly and said, hey, tell us what you want to tell us. We're never going to make it known. Because when you tell somebody that what they say is in secret, they can say anything they want. They think there's nobody to hold them accountable. They can say anything because they trust that their name's never going to come out. And they can just lie to high heaven. And a lot of people did. They thought they had the anonymity. They thought they were free from anybody ever knowing the remarks, the rumors that they were going to make up, the hearsay. You don't see none of those people here. Ain't that funny? You don't see none of those people in this meeting that's in that TBI report under the pretense of they'll never be mentioned. Tell us anything you want to. Grin every now and then so we can, maybe if you grin, we can take it as a hint that you're meaning something else. That's not the way it works. Not the way it works. There's not one of those people in that report. You want to say something, baby? I hear you.
No. No, there's not I don't think there's that we could see anybody there that was in the report that I know of. Do you?
No.
Okay.
They're the people that here, guys, are in person to stand up, to stand tall. You know, walking tall, they can call it walking tall, and Dewana had a book, Walking On. These people here are standing tall. These are people that come out in public. Not everybody likes to be in public. Not everybody likes having a YouTube channel or telling their life story on a camera. And Not everybody likes that. To some of these people, it may be the first time ever that they were in public standing up with cameras and phones all over the place filming them.
Mm-hmm.
That took some heart. That took some guts. Here's your people that you got to look up to. This is your people that's not afraid to take a stand and stand for the truth. Here's your truth with proof. These people are standing tall. The next one we're going to play here is going to be the daughter of Jim Moffett. If you've followed mine and Sheila's videos, we have talked about Jim Moffett. We've talked about when they put these reports in there and they said Jim Moffett said, Buford said, my God, Jim, what have I done? Buford said this. Jim Moffett went home and told his wife. Mike Elam said Jim Moffett went home and told his wife after Buford had to shoot Louise Hathcock, said, if anything ever happens to me, look no further than Buford Pusser. That's what Mike Elam says. Mike, I'm hoping you got that on tape somewhere. I'm hoping you got some good evidence with that, because you're going to get a chance to let us all hear it in court one day, hopefully.
That's Jim Moffat's daughter sitting there in the white shirt
With
with the long blonde hair.
Okay.
Like, that's his daughter.
Okay. Let's let her play, babe.
Okay. And I have another thing.
Go ahead.
Have you seen any news media there? Is there not any news media?
Babe, I don't see any, but would you expect to see any? Because this is people that's taken up for
Yeah.
Buford Pusser. This is people that's standing for the truth.
Uh-huh.
This is people that knew him. This is not rumors.
Right.
This is not hearsay. This don't sell. This don't sell to the news. This don't sell to the media, because this is truth
Uh-huh.
with proof.
There you go.
So I don't see no media. They may very well be there,
yeah. I hadn't seen
but
any.
this wouldn't be a story that the media,
Would
the
be
fake
interesting.
news, would want to cover. The fake news would rather cover. They could slander somebody faster than. But no, I haven't. To answer your question, no.
Okay, so you want to play Jim Moffat's daughter
Yes.
next? I don't remember her name.
Hello, everybody. I'm Diddy Moffett. I'm Jim Moffat's daughter. He's one of Buford's deputies. And all the time, been around my dad. I never heard my dad say a bad word about Buford Pusser.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Did you hear, guys, what she just said? In case you didn't, she said, I never heard my dad say one bad thing about Buford Pusser.
Never. Now
Wow.
that speaks volumes, guys. That speaks volumes. This is the daughter of Jim Moffett, who served as the chief deputy for Buford Pusser for all 3 terms, all 6 years that he was the sheriff of McNairy County. He knew Buford, and Buford knew him. He said, I never heard my dad say one bad word. She can sit down now. She don't even have to go on, because she has told herself what she knows firsthand by her father. Now, she's not from Arkansas. She doesn't write books. She doesn't do a podcast. You can tell from the nervousness in her voice, she probably doesn't do a lot of public speaking. That's why I know she's sincere. Nobody wants to get up there in front of a crowd of people. This is a have-to case. She wanted people to know Buford Pusser's reputation.
She was forced to do that. Yeah.
She was forced to do this by a man who lives in Arkansas that comes once every now and then to do a bus tour to show people around and spread his propaganda, spread his lies, and defame and slander another man, a deceased man, not even a live man that can take up for himself. I have a feeling Buford would slap him silly if he was alive today. But this lady here just answered a bunch of questions from, I hear on there where people says, well, look at Jim Moffett's statement. Jim Moffett said when he went to the hospital that Warren Jones was behind him, and Buford said, my God, Jim, what have I done? And they act like it's something bad. Buford may very well have said, what have I done? What have I done taking my wife with me?
Exactly.
What did I do? Why didn't I make her stay at home? Why didn't
It's my fault that she's been killed because of what I've done, as far as like Louise Hathcock or busting steals or arresting so-and-so for this or that. It's retaliation. So what I feel.
Sure. So we can't commend this lady enough for standing up for Buford. We can't commend her enough for standing up for her father, Jim Moffett. I'm going to tell you something, guys. Sheila and I, since this came out, again, we were never Buford Pusser fans. We were never foes. We knew of him and his reputation and history, but it wasn't somebody. Our Tennessee hero is Sergeant Alvin York. Ain't it, babe?
Yeah.
Sergeant Alvin York. We've been to Alvin York's place many a time, to the museum and the home place, and beautiful place down there. If you've never been to Tennessee to see Alvin York's place, you need to go there, guys.
It's pretty cool.
But we talked to a lot of people since we started this, and Buford had a reputation for being heavy-handed. Maybe it was called for, maybe it was some people says I was like that. I wasn't like that. It was just that when you arrest somebody, you have to take them with you. Sometimes they don't just say, yeah, I can't wait to get in the car, I can't wait to get to jail. They don't do that. Sometimes you have to physically take custody of them.
Right.
And so we've heard people say, oh, Buford was heavy-handed. We're not defending Buford from being heavy-handed. We're defending a dead man that was accused of murder 58 years after it happened, after his wife was killed, and he was shot 2 to 3 times in the face. Who does that? Now, we've heard tales on Buford, heavy-handed, different things, but we know he didn't kill his wife.
That's right.
Other hand, on Jim Moffett, we have talked to person after person after person. When Jim Moffett's name come up, guys, we couldn't tell you one person, even one person, that has ever had anything bad to say about, right, babe?
Exactly. Everybody that we've talked to has nothing but good to say about him. What a fine man he was.
Yeah.
He was outstanding.
Yeah.
Nothing bad.
It is. It's and so she has this lady here. We didn't catch her name, but she has a lot to be proud of in her
That's right.
father and her family name, because Jim Moffett was a dignified. One guy told us that he could have run for any office he wanted to in McNairy County. He could have held any office that he wanted. He could have done anything because that many people liked and respected him. So believe me, if Jim Moffett knew anything bad about Buford Pusser, his family would have known it.
Exactly.
And she wouldn't be standing up there today taking up for Buford Pusser. Go ahead and let it play a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see.
She is debunking what has been said about him in the past. So good for her.
Had a niece call me several nights in the last 2 weeks. She couldn't sleep. The things have been said about her dad, about my brother, about my dad. And I've lived here in Adamsville all my life, or what time it was in Stantonville. I never saw anything bad in Buford Pusser. He was always the kindest person when anybody was around here.
She just said, I've never saw anything bad in Buford Pusser. He was always the kindest person around here. So, I mean, there you go.
He helped this town, and they're planning on the Buford Pusser Park. He's one of us.
That's great.
He's one of us, and they want to keep the museum open. She stands up. She stands up for Buford, just like all of these people that stood up that night. Not one negative comment, not one person. And a lot of people they didn't have to speak.
Right.
They knew they didn't have to, because everybody that was there was in favor of Buford Pusser.
They sure were. I mean, some of them was talking about, the one little gentleman said he grew up with Buford and stuff, and he was really sweet. So
the people, the residents of Adamsville, that's the ones that count.
Right. That's
and that's the ones that knew him
and
stood up. Now, let's thank God. Thank God that this happened now,
Lord.
guys.
Yep.
Thank the Lord that this happened now instead of 10 years from now, 15 years from now. Imagine 20 years from now. Imagine Mr. Davison's son or Mr. Roush's son doing this in the next term. And all these people here, Miss Moffett here, Lucky Sweat, his brother, I forget
Steve.
Steve, was it Steve Sweat?
I think it was Steve.
All these different people that stood up. Imagine in 10, 15, 20 years when they're all dead and gone. Who would have been there? It had this happen later on. See, that's the thing. If we allow people to attack dead people, it can happen to anybody. Now, some of us don't care. Once we're dead, and we say, have at it. If you're talking about me, you're leaving somebody else alone. But I have a feeling that some of those people that's here wanting these names that did all this, trying to make them a name, I have a feeling that it's going to bother them one day when they're dead and gone. And all these rumors start coming out. I hope they don't. I hope I'm not wanting that to happen.
Uh-huh.
I'm not hoping that happens, but I have a feeling from just seeing comments I do already on the internet, I have a feeling that it's coming one day, and I don't think their family members are going to be able to fight it. I just don't think they will. I think it's going to be overwhelming because there's an old saying, you reap what you sow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I believe that in everything that goes on in life. So, guys, we was talking, we got interrupted here with a phone call, and nice gentleman we always talk to, and
Uh-huh.
remind me of something. He was talking about how Buford said everything around town there was usually calm, and but Buford, he stayed down around the state line. That's where all the trouble was at, and that's what Sheila and I said. Wouldn't make much sense to for him to stay where it was calm. There's an old saying, why does people rob banks? Well, that's where the money's at.
That's right.
And why did Buford stay on the state line? That's where the trouble was at. That's where they needed the law enforcement at the most. So, Buford had, this was in my notes here, and here's the way Sheila and I've got it figured out. Buford had something that at least two other men wanted, and that was dignity, character, honesty, compassion, and self-worth. There was other people that wanted that. Instead of going out and getting it, and I've said this in other videos, they figured they'd just steal it from Buford. Because when you Google Buford now, these other names come up, but it reminds me and Sheila of the Hatfield McCoy feud. There's always been talk. They said, oh, Devil Anse Hatfield, he was so rich compared to Randall McCoy. Well, no wonder. Devil Anse deserted in the Civil War. That's what caused the hard feelings. And after he deserted, Randall McCoy and my great-great-grandfather Uriah were both taken prisoner of war. Everybody in that unit was either killed or taken prisoner of war. Devil Anse returned home, and he turned into a robber. He would pillage the communities. It didn't matter Union or Confederate. He stole from anybody he could steal from. And that's how he got his start. So it's not hard in life to get a good start if you steal it from somebody else. And that's the same way about this name. They somewhat like that, what they tried to do. I think they're a lot like Devil Anse Hatfield. They tried to steal what Buford had, only it wasn't his money, it was his fame. It was his name. I don't think they expected, and I've said it in other videos, I don't think Roush and Davison expected the community,
The public.
the public,
The public who came out against them and said that it wasn't true. So
and stood up.
There was a great demand, I think.
People stood up. They took a stand. And for those jurors out there who will be sitting on these juries eventually, we're hoping that they take their time and look at the evidence or the lack of. And I'm hoping that the jurors really look at this good. Just because someone's got enough hot air to blow up an onion sack doesn't mean they're telling the truth. This was nothing but TBI. TBI took what people had told them, hearsay, 2 and 3 parties ago, dead people. They took that and they put it in a statement, a letterhead to make it look professional. Some of it right out of Mike Elam's book or off of his podcast. And they thought by making it look official that people would buy it. People didn't buy it, guys.
Well, you heard his daughter stand up there and say that she never heard her dad say one bad thing
Yeah.
about Buford Pusser.
Yeah. And who would keep a man as their chief deputy? Not just a deputy,
Yeah.
their chief deputy, their confidant. If he would do them like that. First of all, Jim wouldn't have wanted to work for him. From the reputation they tell us that Jim Moffett had, Jim Moffett would have not worked for Buford Pusser had he been dirty, had he been a criminal. It just, anybody you talk to about Jim Moffett, they'll tell you different. Now, there's several. You can't always judge a father by their son or a son by their father or anything
Exactly.
like that. You can't judge people by family members.
Right.
But Jim Moffett was a good man with a good reputation. And who knew Jim Moffett better than that lady right there standing?
Exactly.
Who knew her better? Her or Mike Elam?
Yep.
Mike Elam didn't know him at all. Mike Elam has talked to people that didn't like this person, that person. He's went around and talked to people that had been busted, moonshiners, or their families had been busted. And he took stuff from there. And the rest he made up. Mike Elam makes it up as he goes. If he don't know something, he'll make it up. You're going to get to see that. No, they're going to get to see that in court. There's people out here that's already prepared notes and things to
Mm-hmm.
never even once heard her dad say anything bad
That's
about
right.
him.
She stood out there and said that.
This was a sham, and thank God that it was brought to light. Now, guys,
Do we want to play Lucky first?
I'm going to we'll play Lucky in just a second.
Okay.
I want to tell you something. I've had people mention, and I've responded to it on Facebook,
Right.
but it keeps coming up. But I want to tell you something.
Sorry.
We've had comments, and people says, why wasn't Hatfield McCoy Museum there? Why wasn't Fred and Sheila there? Why didn't they cover this story? And there's 4 reasons.
Okay.
4 that I've gave on Facebook, and I'll just
Share.
tell them here. I'll share them here. One of them is the locals knew Buford.
Right.
All those people that you see in that room right there knew Buford Pusser, Pauline Pusser, Dewana Pusser, or even Madison, or Eric. They know this family. They know Mike.
Mm-hmm. They were only asking though for the residents in that area to speak out, not people that were there.
Those people there spoke for all of us.
Mhm.
Right?
Right. I
Because
agree.
they knew him.
I'm sure they did.
Number 2, the reason we wasn't there. In America, we are innocent until proven guilty. The TBI had plenty of time while Buford was still alive.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't as much as charge him, much less convict him of murdering anybody, especially his wife. Buford is innocent. He'll be innocent forevermore because he was never proven guilty. He was never even charged with this crime until 58 years later. Number 3, the third reason we wasn't at that meeting, because we had planned. Soon as I seen it come out on Facebook, I said, Sheila, check your schedule.
Yeah.
And when she looked at it, she said, I can't. One of her best friends had her to substitute teach for her that day.
Yeah.
I think Monday and Tuesday. Wasn't it?
Yeah, I worked Monday and Tuesday. Yeah.
So Sheila had to substitute for that teacher for those 2 days, and she had already committed to it.
Yep.
When Sheila tells you something, her word is like Fred's. It's her bond.
That's right.
So we couldn't go, and I didn't want to go without her. I thought about it. Somebody even called and offered. They were going. They said, you can ride down with me. It's paid for.
Wow.
And how tempting that was. But I'll give you the 4th reason, and it may explain why I didn't take him up on that offer. And the 4th reason, I thought Mr. Elam was going to be there. And I thought what an ugly sight it was going to be when all those people in that room there seen 2 70-year-old men wallowing around on the floor fighting.
Oh, Lord.
Because I will tell you, I have a feeling that Mr. Elam and I would have probably had
wouldn't seen eye to eye.
Yeah, so that's the 4th reason I didn't go. I actually thought he was going to be there, and I didn't want to. I've got a pretty good reputation, a pretty good criminal history, a pretty good But I've also got a pretty good fight record back in my day when I was in the martial arts and would get in the ring. So I have a feeling I would have won the battle, but I would have probably lost the war.
Exactly.
And for all you people that want to know why we didn't show up, that's the 4 reasons that I can give you. We didn't have to be there. Those people were there.
Yeah.
Adamsville was there.
That's right. And that's who counted.
That's who
That's
counted.
who counted, was the people, the residents of Adamsville, who come out to support Mr. Pusser and his family. So,
And we agree about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's now you can play lucky. This is a
Alrighty.
friend of ours.
he is the sweetest person, guys, you'll ever talk to. Mr. Lucky is.
Most y'all know these lucky sweat. I don't guess I don't like to tell y'all the name or say what the video today, but Buford's been 9 years, he was still up in now. Most of y'all know him, I saw him firearms the 71 that got him out of the house. And I don't know if he did it or not, but he told me he'd been back in the bedroom if he had I don't think he'd change nothing, but there's more murders within walking distance. This right here, TBI didn't do anything about it. They told him.
Right there, he was talking about how he sold Mr. Pusser a smoke alarm, and how when Mr. Pusser's house caught on fire, that smoke alarm went off, and that's what saved him, because he was in the back room. And he also stated there that there had been murders there close within walking distance, and that the TBI hadn't done anything about those murders yet. So,
Brother-in-law, which my nephew, thought he'd be a little better off sometimes. We sure that guy, his girlfriend, son, they said the TBI didn't go and spend all the money like they on nobody. We should have spent as much on somebody like that that should have spent on you 58 years ago.
yeah. Okay. So that is that. He was just talking about how they should have spent that much time on the cases that they have now instead of the one that happened 58 years ago, basically.
Lucky said that back in the 70s, early 70s, 71, I believe,
71.
he had sold Buford. He was selling fire alarms or smoke detectors or something back then, and going door to door. And Buford had bought some alarms off of him. And later on, when Buford's house, the dryer overheated and caught on fire there at his old house. And Buford said he was in the back room asleep, bedroom, and said he told Lucky had he not bought that alarm off of him, he would have burned up in the house. So that's a pretty neat memory. Lucky's got so many memories. Him and his brother.
Yes.
What's his brother's name?
Steve.
They've got so many memories of Buford. And I asked, we was talking to Lucky a while ago, and I asked him, I said, was Cora May there? And he said, oh yeah, she's sitting right in front of me.
Yay, Cora May.
From Kokomo's, because we know Cora May was secretary for Buford at one time. And so there's so many people there that I'm sure didn't mind standing up.
That's good.
And taking up, but I think they got to
see how people felt about
so
they debunked a lot of stuff that
there
had been
was
said.
nobody there. Where was the TBI director? Where was his investigators? Where was the prosecutor, DA Mark Davison? That would have been a good place to got their names out. They could have made the news there, put them names out there for some name notoriety. She's kicking me. Guys, it's the truth. It's sad. It's very sad, because these guys know from being an investigator, it don't even take a seasoned investigator to look at this case and tell yourself, well, we've lost all the evidence. We've lost this. We've lost that. We can't even find the case file. We can't go on with this. There's nothing. Who would have, in their right mind, what rookie, what 1-year police officer would take on a case like this?
No evidence.
It doesn't happen. They thought they was going to come out there and just tell them and see the report. Every question you ask, or did the gun match? See the report.
Have you talked to the family, Buford's family? It's in the report.
We had one person. So you did have somebody confirm it was a staged. Well, we had one person say he thought it was staged. He opines that it was staged. Really? Guys, if you all knew how silly that sounds and going to sound when they get in a court of law, I tell you what I recommend. I recommend that Mike Elam and TBI Director Roush and DA Davison get together and they hold them a press conference and they say, hey, we made a grave mistake here, guys. We've misjudged this. We didn't look at all the evidence. We didn't look at all this hearsay. We were wrong. Just admit that you was wrong is the easiest thing. And the TBI still needs to charge Mike Elam and Ricky Plunk. You know, guys, we're talking a while ago about Moffett, what a good man he was. I don't know if Ricky Plunk realizes what he did to his dad's reputation or not, but he surely harmed his dad's reputation, P.D. Plunk, because I used to think about him like I did about when we first started this about Jim Moffett.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that way no more. If P.D. Plunk had a stolen gun, especially from O'Neill, and especially if it was stolen from the military, and especially if Ricky thought that it was actually used in the ambush, what would make Ricky think that? Why would a deputy sheriff's son think that a gun that his dad gave him may have been used in the ambush to kill an innocent woman and shoot the sheriff? And then of all people to go to, he goes to Mike Elam, a make-believe, an impersonator, a loss prevention officer. This wasn't about stealing a steak from the local Walmart. This is about a murder weapon and a stolen, possibly stolen gun. Now, when the government opens back up, we're going to try to track that gun down. If that gun comes back stolen, the TBI, if they think they were embarrassed now, they're really going to be embarrassed. So if that gun is actually one of the guns that was stolen from the military, they need to be charging Ricky Plunk and Mike Elam.
Because he fired the weapon.
Oh, they fired the weapon. They was in possession of the weapon. Yeah. And they know it was stolen because Mike Elam made videos and says, this is the stolen gun. This gun was the only thing Mike Elam did. He threw Buford Pusser. See, they connected the dots from the gun to O'Neill and from O'Neill to P.D. Plunk.
Yep.
But in between, they said, well, we got to throw Buford in here somewhere. So they said, okay, he went and got it out of Buford's trunk of the car after he was shot. Really? It was staged, and Buford wasn't smart enough to figure out that he might not want to put the gun in the trunk of his own car. How silly is that, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Mike makes it up as he goes. If that gun is stolen or was stolen, and they were in possession of it and shot it and all that, and besides that, it definitely puts a black mark against P.D. Plunk. We don't know P.D. Plunk, don't know anything about him other than what we know from Ricky Plunk. And Ricky, instead of calling, what do they teach you in kindergarten? If you need the police, you know something's wrong, who do you call? 911. But instead of calling 911 or going to the sheriff or the TBI or anybody, he calls the real deal. Is that what he called himself?
He called him. He said he figured
he
that
knew
Mr. Elam was the real deal.
He knew that I was the real deal. Elam says he's the real deal. All right. He's the real deal. When it comes to the slander king, he's got the award. He has that award, and you're going to get to see that when the rest of these suits are filed. They're coming. All right. Sheila, you're up.
All right, guys. We hope you're doing well today. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye. God bless.